Hey there, welcome to Not Your Ordinary Girl, podcast for professionals looking to find their voice, define their brand,
Welcome
and
to
maximize their
Building Your
impact.
Best Career.
Episodes are a collection of lessons from real life, interviews with people doing incredible things, tips and tools to get you on your way to realizing your infinite career possibilities.
Interviews with people doing incredible things, tips and tools to get you on your way to realizing your infinite career possibilities.
So today we're going to be talking about difficult bosses.
Hello, and welcome back to another
that most of you out there can identify with. I know I've had a few along the way.
So before we
for
kick
good and
off
for
today,
bad.
I just wanted to
difficult bosses can
mention
come in a
that
variety
I have
of different
put together
forms,
a focused
right? You can have
mastermind
the micromanager
to
who's
bring
constantly
together folks
watching over
that
every
are
little thing
brand
that
new
you do.
in executive role.
You've
Perhaps
got
you were
the
job searching
supervisor
through
that's
all
never
of this
around.
COVID chaos,
And then when
and you've just
something
landed
comes up
back
and
in
you
a
need
job,
direction or
but
you need
now
approval,
as
then
the
you
kids
can
are
never
headed back
find
to
them,
school
they
and
don't
everybody's going to be
respond.
learning remotely
And then
working
you've just
remotely,
got your shady boss,
trying to figure out how you're really going to stand out
you don't respect,
in your new role,
you find them
build
to
rapport
be
with
dishonest,
your teams, and just get off to a good start. How that's all going to work with the kids.
Just unethical.
So if you
That's
are
one of
interested
the,
in learning
the
more
trickiest
about
ones to deal with
this
because you don't
focus
want
group
that
that
to
I'm putting
land on
together,
you.
feel free
So
to
those are just
send
a
me an
couple we're
email
going to
at
talk about today.
at
I think
kellyfeatheringham.com,
we'll jump
or
right
you
in
can
with
look
the
for me on both
micromanager
Facebook and
because
LinkedIn at Kelly
I think
Featheringham.
that
Send me a
oftentimes
message,
is
and
the
I'm happy
most
to send
common,
you all of the
especially
information
with
about
new
that.
or junior managers. If you
All
have
right, so our
someone
topic
that just was
today, we'll jump right
promoted
in, is
or new to
going to be
leadership.
delegation.
Nowadays it seems like
So I
a lot
observed
of
something this weekend
organizations,
that made me
we
think of
talked
this
about this
topic,
a couple of
and it's funny
episodes
because
ago when
different
we were
things in life
talking
make
about being a
you
new
think of
manager. There's a lot
different
of
things that we
organizations out there that
experience
require
and how
employees
they
to be a manager
kind of
for
create
a period of
parallels in
time
different
as part of
behaviors and
their track to move
experiences.
up the ladder.
We
One of the
were
challenges with
spending
this
some
is
time
that
this weekend
not everybody's
with
meant to
my
be a
niece and
manager.
nephew,
Not everybody is meant to lead
and
people. You can be
and
a
2 or 3
phenomenal
times,
employee
someone
and
asked
do
my niece
really
to
great
do
work,
something, and
but
she immediately
leading
turned
people
around
is not a skill
and
that
either
everybody
tasked her
possesses,
brother
nor do
or
they
her
want to.
cousin
And
to
that
go
should
and do
be
that
okay,
task.
but unfortunately that's
And the
not
first time
the way it works with a
I
lot
just
of
chuckled.
organizations. So
And then the second time I was
we as
thinking about it, and the
employees
third
sometimes
time
get
she did it, I
stuck
was
with one of
thinking,
those managers that's in
when
that
I was a
position where
kid,
they
I
want
can
to move up
remember
the
as
ladder,
the oldest
and in
doing
order
that
to
to my
do
younger
it, they need to
sister,
manage people,
and even
they don't know how
my
to manage
sister
their way
doing
out
it
of
to our
paper
youngest
bag,
brother.
right? So
And it's interesting
one of
how,
the ways
as
they compensate
children,
for that is they
we
become
are
the ultimate
excellent
micromanager because
delegators.
they don't want to mess it up.
Now, I don't know if
And
this is born
they want
more
to make
out of
sure that they are
the lack of
keeping track
interest
of
in
everything
doing
that's
whatever
going
it is that we're
on
being asked to do,
and
or if it's
making sure
just
that
on
things are
some
being done
level
in the
that we
manner in
recognize
which
that
they would like it
that
done.
task is something that I don't
And
need to be doing right
as
now. I could get somebody else to do it
employee
for me.
of that type of manager,
I
it
could
can be
be
super
making better use of my
frustrating
time by not doing that
because
activity
we go to work,
and
we do
giving
our
it to
job,
somebody else to do it.
we're doing our best.
Now,
And
I'm not saying
if
that we should run
our
around
boss is
shirking all
constantly
of our
checking in with
tasks
us
that
and
we don't like to
interrupting
do.
our
That's
progress or
certainly
our
not what this is
process or
about.
however it is that we go to do our job,
Being honest, I
sending
think
us
as a child,
emails, where's
sometimes
this
there were
at, let me see
chores
it
and
at
things
this
that I didn't want to
stage,
do,
let me
and I
see it at
passed
that
them off
stage.
to my
It
siblings
really
because
can
I was the
be
oldest and thought that that was my job to
counterproductive,
delegate.
both for
But
the
as I
manager
got
and the
older,
employee,
I
right?
was
You're trying to
thinking
get
back
something
and
done
thinking
on
about the
deadline and someone
scenario
keeps
about
checking
how
in, wanting to see the
difficult it is,
status,
even
adding
for
2
me at
cents,
times, to
changing the
delegate
happy to
some of the things
glads,
that I have to do.
put a
And
comma
I was
here,
trying
put
to
a
think
new
about
paragraph there.
what
It really builds
mindset and
resentment
what
and a feeling of
experience
distrust that, hey,
and
this person just
circumstances
isn't
change as
trusting
we
me to do
grow
my job.
older
They've now
that make us
become
more
my boss and
reluctant
they
or
want to
more
nitpick every little thing
picky about
that I'm
how
doing.
often and how
And that's
much
not
we
a
delegate
healthy
different tasks.
boss-employee relationship.
One of the most valuable
So
tools we have
to
as leaders is that
really
we have
kind of get around
staff, we
this,
have employees, we
the
have
best
people
thing that
to
I've
support
found
us, to
for that
help
type of
us.
a manager, especially if it's a
And
new
in
manager,
turn,
they
we
may
should
not
be
even realize
helping
that they're
build
doing
them
it.
up
They're
and
trying
support them
to
and
dazzle their bosses
help
as a new
them
manager. They're
become
trying
better
to
employees
set
at
a
the
good
same
example.
time.
They're trying
And
to
one of the
really
ways
set
that we
themselves
do that
apart,
is
and they're forgetting the
definitely
fact
through
that you've been working
delegation.
and you've been doing a good
Now,
job
again, I
all
kind of
along.
keep harping
And
on this
perhaps
just a
they
little
just
bit
don't know
because
how
I'm
you
not
work.
suggesting that we should
Perhaps
be
they
dumping
need
the things
to
we don't
work
like
with
to
you
do
for a little
or
bit
the
and get a
things
feel for
we
how
don't
your
find
writing
fun
skills
on
are
other
or
people.
your time management
But
and
there are
those
so many
types of things
positive
so that they can be
things
comfortable with the way
for
you work,
your
and then
employees and
they'll
your
ease off
staff
a bit.
to gain
So
from
you
you
might cut them a
delegating.
little slack
For
for
one, it builds
as long as you
responsibility,
can.
right? It
Obviously
obviously you don't want to let it go a year where you're pulling your hair out and just want to quit your job, which you otherwise loved, until you
builds
had this
buy-in and commitment
micromanaging
because they're
supervisor.
invested now. They have a
But
piece
you
of the
also might sit
project,
down
they
and
have a
talk
piece
to
of the
them.
pie.
Say it's been a
They're
month or
responsible
so,
for
and
something and they want to do
it's
it
not
well,
changing.
at least in theory.
They seem to
But
be
it
pleased
instills
with your
value and
performance. They
pride
seem
in
to
their
be
work
happy
because
with
they do want to do
the
it well. They
products
want
that
to
you're
impress you. They
producing.
want to impress others. They
And
want to
sit
impress
down with them
themselves.
and say, hey, you know,
They
I
want to
noticed
stretch
that
and grow.
you are
So
very
it's important
involved
to make sure
at
that
every
we're
step of the
giving
way.
them these
And
opportunities so
if
that
that's
they
what makes you
can stretch
comfortable,
and grow
I can
and develop more
understand
and more
that. But at
responsibility.
the same time, it's very
On our side,
difficult for
as
me
the
to do
delegators,
my job
it's
in a
very
timely
helpful to us
manner
because we
without
can
stress if
prioritize
you
our
are
time. We can
often
focus on the
checking in on
things that
me.
only we can
Or,
do.
and
Whereas
this
the
is
other
where
things
it
that
kind of depends
perhaps we
on their
like to do,
temperament,
are easy
right?
to
I mean,
do,
we all work with
or we're just
people
used
that
to
are
doing, those
hot-headed
are good
or
things for other folks to
impatient
learn on.
or
Kind of like we come up learning
very
on different things,
thin-skinned.
you
If
master
you've
them,
got a
and then you move that
thin-skinned
along.
manager who is
Now, I
micromanaging
understand
you,
sometimes
you're going to
it's
need to be
really
delicate
challenging to
about the
pass these things
conversation that
off
you have
as a
and turn it around and say,
continually
you know,
recovering
I really want to
perfectionist.
make you look good,
I
and
have a hard
I've
time
been
delegating a lot of things because
working
I
with
know
you
how I
now
like them
for
done.
X
I
number
know
of
how I
days,
want
weeks,
them,
months,
and
and I'm
it
noticing that
sometimes
you
feels
want to
like
be
it's going to be
involved
3 times
at
the
every
work
step of the
for me
way.
to either
Is there
teach
a
someone
way
else
that
to
we can
do it,
come up with
let them run with it, and then drive me
an
crazy because it's
arrangement
not
of
how I
how
wanted it,
I
and I'll
can
have to
be
fix it
providing
again,
you
or just
updates
find a way
that
to
are
be
not
okay with
impacting my
other people's
workflow, because I
styles
really
or how
don't
they're
want
going to do
to
things.
set you back on time because I'm
But
stopping what I'm
this is a
doing
growing
to provide
opportunity
you
for us
updates
as
when
well
I
as
could be
them.
keeping things
It's a
on
growing
track.
opportunity for us
So
to see that
how
there
can
are
I
more than
help
one ways
you?
to do
And if
things.
you turn it around and make it
And
sound like
while
you
it
are
might
really
not be
looking out for their
perfect,
best
it might not be
interest,
exactly how we would
then
do it. Perhaps
that
you
will go
might
further
find
than saying,
something
you're making me
that
crazy. You need to stop
helps you
checking
out
on me every 5 minutes.
in the
I know
future
how to do
because
my
it
job.
was done in a way that you
So
wouldn't have thought.
that's
Perhaps they
obviously
find a
not going to
more
be
efficient way to
your
do
best
something or a more
approach.
effective way to do it. Or maybe
Sometimes
they're
this is
just
difficult
way
because we
better
get
at
really
whatever it is
frustrated
you've
and then
tasked
we
them to
lose our
do. And
temper.
you've been thinking
But
that
I
you
would
do it
encourage you to
awesome.
take a minute
And then you
before
get it
you
back
send
and you
that
think,
email
oh, wow,
and
they are so
consider the
much
type
better
of
at this.
temperament
I'll
and the
give you an
type of
example.
personality that that
I
manager
love
has,
spreadsheets,
and really
and I
kind of
think that I'm
address
pretty good at
the
spreadsheets.
conversation
I
with
spend a lot
them
of time in
on
Excel.
how you
I
can be
like
most
building out my
successful.
formulas, and I
And
carrying
like I
things
said,
from one
they
sheet
may
to the
not even
next.
know that
They're
they're
very
doing it. They may
complicated.
not even realize
However,
it.
I have worked with some
So you
people
might
who are
talk to them about
amazing at
it that way
spreadsheets.
and say, you know, I'm not sure if
Way
you are
more
aware, but
sophisticated in
I
how they
am
build out their
driving towards
spreadsheets
this
than I ever could
deadline
be.
and trying to
And
get it
over the
done because I
years,
want to
I've
make
worked with
sure
some
that,
folks
that you
that
have
taught me things
your
that I didn't even
deliverable
know
in
to
time
ask,
for
or I
wherever
didn't
you
even
need to
know that a
take it.
spreadsheet could
But
do
it's
until I
slowing me
delegated and they came
down
back and they
when we're
just looked at me like,
checking
well, yeah,
in
why
at
wouldn't
all
you
of
do it
these
this way? It makes so much
incremental
more sense.
stops. Could we
I would have
perhaps
never even known that. I would have
meet
continued to do it the
weekly
old way
or
because
meet
I knew
quarterly
that
or
my
meet every
spreadsheets
other
worked
day
and they
or
worked well
however it is
and
that
they
they would
looked
feel
nice and they were
comfortable
color
to go
coded
over your
and in
product
my
for the
mind they
entire
looked
day,
great.
but at least
But
give you
now
a
they're
few
even
hours
better.
to actually do some work rather
So
than
sometimes we
emailing
don't
you
even
every
know
hour
what
to
we don't
check in on
know.
how
And by
things are going,
delegating
because that's really
and giving
impeding
other people
progress.
the opportunity
Hopefully
to
that will
rise
go
to the
well,
challenge and teach us
and
something
they
and teach
will
themselves something,
understand that
it's
it's
a
in their
win-win
best
all around.
interest to give you a little bit of rope. There are some people
Another
that are
thing
going
that
to
it offers
micromanage you
you is the
until the time
opportunity
they're
for
not your
informal
manager anymore,
mentoring.
and that's just their
Think
style.
about if you've got junior
And that'll be
staff
something
or
you'll
new
have
employees
to
and you
come to
delegate
terms with if it's
things to
something you
them,
can live with.
you're able
Hopefully,
to
as
step
they get to
in
know
and
you, they
provide
might
them
back
some
off a little
guidance and
bit.
mentorship and
There
help
are
them
lots of people that
grow
do
in
that
their
once they
role.
build that trust,
Perhaps
but there
they
are
haven't
also
worked
others
on
out there
some
that
kind of
just
a
never will.
program
That's just
before
their
or
style.
some kind of
In
an
that
activity.
case,
You're
it's
able
tricky,
to
right?
really
I mean, this
shape
is your boss, this
the
is your
type of
job.
work
What do you
that they're
do?
going to
Do you
go
want to get a whole
forward
new
and
job
do in the
because your
future of
boss
their
is driving
career.
you crazy and
And not
probably
only
will
is
be
this
for a
rewarding
while?
from the standpoint of
I
being
don't
able to
know. I
help
mean, there's a
someone
couple of
grow,
different
but
approaches
you're
there.
also
You can
able
really
to,
bust your
and
butt
here's where the
and help them get
mentality
recognized and
steps in,
hopefully move
you're
further
also
up the
able to
chain, and
kind of
then they'll
affect
micromanage
some
somebody
kind of change
else.
to make
You
sure
could
that the
look to
learning
align
behaviors
yourself with another supervisor perhaps, and maybe just as an unofficial mentor, something along those lines. And you might talk to some of your colleagues and ask around,
we all think we know how to
subtly, of course,
One thing I think is crucial
you know,
before we start
quietly
delegating,
about
and
whether or
this kinda
not
goes with the
this
whole
manager is
shirking
doing that with everyone.
mentality. I think that
Perhaps it's just a
important
personality thing
that
between
for
you and
many of
that
the things that
supervisor.
we would delegate,
For some
we do
reason,
them
they
first.
may have the idea that they
We
can't trust
fully
you and they need to
understand the ins and
micromanage you.
outs of them. We
And that
learn
would
it
be something that
ourselves.
you
We do
should
it
be
for a
able
while
to
ourselves. We get
correct.
okay
If
with
you
it. If it's
are
something that you're never
doing
going
the
to be good
job
at,
that
fine,
they
but at least you
expect you to
understand
do,
how to do it.
perhaps
So then when
you
you're
need to
delegating
come
it to
together
somebody and you're
and
teaching
get on
them
the
how to
same
do
page
it, or
about
you're
what their
overseeing
expectations
their
are,
work
because
in
for some
doing
reason
this,
you may not be
you
meeting
know the
them.
right and
And it
wrong
may
way to do
be
it. you can
totally on
do
accident,
just that
something you
and
don't
step in and
realize.
mentor and guide
And
them
if it's
they need
something
help.
where you just work differently and it's a different
Plus, if it
personality,
ever comes up
then,
that
you
they
know,
say, well,
some of
you always
that's
give
on
me
you to
the
make
junk
sure
work
you
that you
take
don't want to do,
ownership
you can
of the
say,
fact that
you know
you are
what, you're
not
right,
meeting
you're
the
doing the junk work
guidelines
now, but
and
I did the
the
junk work.
objectives of your
I did my time,
supervisor.
I did the junk work, I
You
got
know,
good at it,
we're
or I got
unfortunately,
proficient
as
at it, whatever it is,
employees, we
and
all have a
now it's your
boss,
turn to learn,
and not
and
all
we'll
of
bring more
them are
people on
going
below
to
you, and
be
then
of
you
the
can
same
pass along
mind.
too. It's kind of like a rite of
And
passage.
sometimes you
And
just
think
got to
about
do
it
what the
like
boss
when you have
says you
kids
got to
at
do,
home. You
whether
teach
we
them
like
how
it
to
or
do little
not.
things, and when they're
Provided,
little, you make their
obviously,
bed, then you
it's
teach
not
them to
doing
make their
anything
bed. Then
shady
who
or
knows? Then
illegal.
they'll have a
And we'll
younger sibling, and
talk to
they'll
that
make
type of
their
manager
sibling
here
make
in a
their
bit.
beds. I
Dealing
bring
with
up
a
the kid
micromanager
reference
can be
because
really
I think in a
frustrating.
lot of ways
Take
we're
a
all
deep
like
breath.
that.
Try to
I can
consider
think
where
of a
they're
lot of
coming from.
examples
Think
when
about their
I was working
experience
with other
and
folks, and
why this might be
particularly when you bring
happening.
in maybe
Ask
college
around
interns or
and find
new
out if
junior
it's just
staff,
between
they
you and
come
them,
in
if
and
that's just their
they're
style,
very
and see
creative
if you
in how
can't
they
sit
can
down
look
and
for
talk to them a
ways
little bit and
to
come up with
do
some
something, get
kind
good at
of
it, and then pass it
arrangement
along.
where you both might be
And that
comfortable,
kind of
some
was where
kind of
this
a
all stemmed
compromise
from,
where
is
you
at
can
some
be
point, I
reporting
think
out a
as we
little
get
bit more
older, we
frequently,
stop looking for
and
ways to
they
do
will
that. We
feel
just take it
comfortable
upon
knowing where
ourselves to
things are
do so many
at,
things.
and
And
hopefully
we have
over
so much to
time
do in
that
any
will
given day
develop
when it
such that
comes
they'll
to our
have
work.
more and more
Trying to
trust
find ways
for
to be
you,
more
that they'll
efficient
give
and
you a little bit more
effective in
rope.
how we
So the
manage
opposite
our
to this is the boss
workload
that's never
by
around. I've
including
never had one
those
of
around
these
us that
where
can
they
benefit
come,
from it
they're new to your
is
team,
really
they tell
key
you their
to being an
expectations,
effective
and then
leader.
suddenly
It's
they're just
very key
gone.
to
They don't
building
answer
high-performing
email, they're
teams.
never in their office, you
Recognizing
have no idea what they
the
do all day or
strengths
where they
and
are. They're
weaknesses and
always in
areas
meetings
for
or
growth
appointments
in
or
our
wherever they
team,
are, and
each
you've
individual
got the type
player
of
and
job where
what
you need to
they
check
bring
in
to the
with them,
table,
or you're just
recognizing
the type of
who
employee
needs a
who's
little
used
bit
to
of
having
work
to check in.
in
Maybe you
what
had a
area,
micromanager
and then
before that
delegating
you got
different
along with
things
really
to
well, and now
different
you've got
people
this
that
boss
make the
that's
most
just
sense
never
to bring
there,
them all
and you
together
are
to be a
constantly
well-working
getting
machine
stalled out on what
is
you're doing
really
because
an
you
art
can't track
form
this person
as a
down.
leader.
That can be
There are
really
some leaders that I
frustrating.
worked with
You know,
that were
I've had
just
jobs where you
so
were
good at
waiting
this and
around
very intuitive.
for
They knew it. They
feedback
paid
or
very close
approvals on
attention
things,
to what
and
was going
there's
on,
other
and it
people,
just
perhaps your
really
employees,
created
are
a
bugging you,
synergy
asking
that is
questions,
hard
and
to
it puts you in a
replicate.
tricky spot
And
because
then
you
there's
don't
other
have
leaders that
the
just
power to
pass
move
off the stuff
forward
that they don't
without
like
these
to do,
approvals,
keep the
and
stuff
you
that
can't
they
find the
like to be
person to give you
doing,
the approvals.
and there's
So,
not so
do
much
you go out
synergy
on a
there.
limb
There's not
and
that
take the
much growth.
initiative?
The morale is not
Perhaps.
good.
Do
There
you
are
go over their
some
head
real
and say, hey, I
challenges
can
with
never
that kind
find
of a
this person?
situation. And it doesn't mean
Perhaps.
that, they
Both of
get to
those
that
sound a
point
little
where
risky to me
they're a boss at this
and
point
could
and they
be
have that
detrimental
right.
to
They
your
can
career
delegate
in
and pass off
general.
whatever it is they feel is
You risk
appropriate.
getting in trouble
But
because now
being
you have no
mindful
overhead
about the work
coverage
that we
because you've
keep
gone
for
out on a limb
ourselves
and
and the
taken a
work that we
risk.
pass along to
Could pay
others
off big time.
can
They
really
could
help
say,
to make
this is great.
you all stand
The
out
initiative that
in
you
a good
took is
way.
fantastic. But
There
again,
was a
that's
post I
kind of a
saw on
50-50
LinkedIn
chance, I
last
think,
week
right? So you have to
about
kind of decide where you are in your career,
recognizing
where you are in your
that
organization, if you want to take
making
that
those
chance.
around you look
Going over
good
their head,
makes you
obviously
look
breaking
good.
chain of
And
command,
it's so
whether
true.
you're
And
in any kind of
oftentimes I
industry,
find
can
that
definitely be a
particularly,
game changer
I
for
want to
your
say
career.
new in leadership,
You
but
tick off your
it's
boss,
prevalent
you
throughout
upset their
the
boss
seniority
because now
chain.
they
It
have to
really
step
is, because
in,
I've seen
and
it
it
all
just
across the
becomes
board. But I think that
complicated and a
often people
political
get
nightmare
nervous
with
that
making
if
sure that
somebody else
everybody
looks
continues to
good,
play nice
that
after
that's
that.
going to make them
So,
somehow look less
similar to
than.
a
And it's really
micromanager,
not
you might
true.
sit down with
If
this
you
person,
are building
assuming you
somebody
can
up,
get
making them look
a
good,
meeting
you
invite to
both
get
look good.
accepted, and sit
You
down with
both
them
share
and
in that
get
positive
15
light
minutes of their
because
time to say,
you've
look,
helped them. You've
I
either trained
am
them or
happy to
groomed
do
them
my
or
job. I am
mentored
happy
them,
to take the
coached them,
initiative to do X, Y, and
led them,
Z if
whatever it
you're
is. You
busy.
have helped
But
them in their
I
career,
am
offered
really
them
struggling right now
responsibility,
because
offered them
on
the opportunity
occasions
to
A, B,
shine,
and C,
and
I
therefore
couldn't
you
move
both
forward
shine.
because I couldn't track you down. and I'm not trying to manage your calendar, but maybe we could set up a regular meeting where I could get approvals every Thursday
Obviously,
or
there's exceptions
every
to that
afternoon
if
at 2
you
o'clock or
aren't
however
doing
you
what you
need
should be
them,
doing and
so
they're
that you have
doing
something
what
set
you're
on the
supposed to be
calendar, and
doing.
hopefully they
Right.
would honor
So,
that.
Obviously,
You know,
there
if
are
you're talking to
exceptions,
them,
but
explaining
in general, if you
this is
are
where I'm at,
doing
and
what you're
we
supposed
kind
to
of
be
need this
doing,
to
and
keep us
you're
moving
growing your
forward,
team, you're
and
growing your
demonstrate
staff,
to
you're
them
teaching them,
in your
and
explanation
you're mentoring
that
them,
it's also in their
you
best
all
interest.
look
Now,
good
I'm not suggesting
as
you
a
threaten
team
them
and
and
as
say, if you don't
individuals.
do this, you're going to get screwed and you're going to get fired too.
So
I'm
there's
simply
lots of different
suggesting
areas where we can
that
use
if you can
delegation,
illustrate to
and
them
we can use it
that
from the beginning of
you
our
getting
career to the
things
end of
done
the
in a
career.
timely
We
manner
talked
and
about it
meeting
with
your
even at
deadlines
home.
and,
Right now, we've got a lot of folks that are
avoiding
going to
any
be
delays in
working
the
from
work that
home,
you're working on
helping
is
their
going
kids
to
learn
reflect
from
well
home,
on them and
balancing
further up the
multiple
chain.
people in a household.
Right, so
Everybody's doing
you
a
want
lot
to
of different
demonstrate
things
while
during the
it's in
day,
their
trying
best
to get
interest
their
to kind of be
priorities
dialed in a little
covered.
bit. Or
Think
perhaps
about
they want to
different
give
ways
you
that you
the
can
power
apply
to take the initiative.
delegation
How awesome would
to
that be?
creating a strategy
Right? I mean,
that
now
will
they've
work
just
for
given
you.
you more
Is there a way
responsibility,
that you can
which
divide
in
up
theory
everybody's
should help develop
responsibilities
your career.
in whatever
If
makes
that's the
sense
way they
so that
go,
everything is getting done in an
CYA,
efficient way
CYA,
and everybody
CYA,
is taken
cover
care
your
of instead of
ass.
trying to take
Every
all of it on
email you
ourselves?
get, you
Obviously,
should
there
be
are
keeping
situations
from
where
that
most of it
boss.
has to fall to
Because
us.
if it's
But
outside
think of
of your
little things
regular
that you can take
duties or
off your
outside of
plate
your
and
regular
share
roles
with
and
others
responsibilities,
by
you
offering
want to
them
make
some
sure that you're
responsibility
covered. Should
and
somebody
the
else come
opportunity to
by and
feel
say, why are
pride
you
and
doing this?
value in what
That's
it is
so
that
and
they're
so's
doing, even
job.
if it's just small
You want to make
tasks,
sure that you have it
taking them off
documented.
your plate.
And the way I
All
do
right,
that
I hope you are
after
staying
you have
healthy,
in-person
staying safe,
meetings
getting ready
is
for
you send a
the
follow-up
autumn
email
as we are
to that
here.
person and say,
As I
hey,
mentioned, if
really
you or
appreciate you
someone
taking
you
the
know
time to
would be
talk to me
interested
today.
in joining the
Just wanted to
mastermind
confirm
for
the few things that we
balancing
talked
being
about.
new in their
Just wanted
role
to let you
and
know,
working
starting
with their
tomorrow,
kids
I
from
will be
home for
doing
school this
this,
fall,
this, and this
shoot me a
based
note,
on our
and I'd love to hear
discussion
from
and
you
your
anyway.
direction.
Have a great
If
day.
at any time this should
All
change
right.
or you should
So
feel
thanks for
like you
listening
want
to
to
Building Your
discuss a
Best
different
Career.
arrangement,
I hope
please
you
let me
enjoyed it.
know and we
Head
can
on
set
over
another
to
time to have a meeting.
buildingyourbestcareer.com and
Send it out
subscribe
there.
so you don't
Hopefully
miss an
you'll
episode.
get some kind of
Feel
response
free to
to
drop
them,
me a note with any
but
topics you'd like to hear
most
about,
emails
or if you'd like to
nowadays
be a guest on
use
an episode.
Outlook, and you've got your
And please go ahead and
confirm
recommend me to your
receipt.
friends.
You can put the confirm receipt
Until
on
next
something
time,
like that,
always
and then you
remember
make sure
to
that
stand
they've
up
gotten
and
the
be
email,
confident.
right? So
Stand
then
by
if
all
their
that you do
boss's
and
boss
say with
comes
integrity,
by and
and
says,
stand out.
why are you
Because
signing
after
off
all,
on these things?
there's only
You
one
can say,
you.
look, I met with my boss. He's really swamped right now for whatever reason, and